Sadashiva-samarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Shruti-smriti-purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-pada Shankaram Loka-shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra-bhashya-kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah-punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti-bheda-vibhagine Vyoma-vadyapta-dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Sahana-vavatu Sahanau-bhunatu Saha-viryam karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma-vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are on verse 24, chapter 4. Bhagavad Gita is a conversation. And if one wants to understand its entirety, then we have to remember the context from where it emerges and the thought flow that goes in the conversation. A conversation is always between two people, minimum. This capacity to be able to have a meaningful, worthwhile, educative, even reformative, some sort of a conversation which has the capacity to change one's ability to think, to be able to change how one thinks through a conversation. The conversation is between Arjuna and Krishna, the only two characters actually speaking, and who had a nature of whose relationship was more based on friendship and not on teacher and a student base. A relationship which is based on friendship, a conversation which emerges from that. I'm going to repeat myself. The Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. A conversation which has the capacity to be so educative, to be so illuminating, to be so productive, to be so enriched, that it has the capacity to transform, reform someone else's thinking through a conversation. When we meet our friends in coffee houses, what is the impact of a conversation that we have with our friends? कुछ सुन के, कुछ कह के, कुछ लेके, कुछ दे के, but the capacity to interact. And that interaction should be so meaningful that it can bring someone back from the brink of their own disaster. Arjuna was standing at the step of his disaster, a mental collapse. The only means that he had over there was a friend who had chosen himself to be a Sarthi. That was the only means possible for him. In a state where he was mentally slipping away, getting into the realm of complete delusion, confusion, getting caught up with the notion of what is right and wrong, what should I do or not do, what is good and what is bad. Suddenly all the questions were surfacing as if they were genuine doubts, as if they were genuine intellectual queries. The fact is they were not queries. They were not his intellectual pursuits. They were the confusion that was arising because of mixed emotions. It was the emotional play that had surfaced itself, that it was now expressing as a state of confusion. And at that moment, at the last minute, where there is nobody around, everyone's there, but he has no access to it. Everybody is ready for a war, and a war which was supposed to be Mahabharata, not an ordinary war. It's almost like saying a World War III ke brink pe, Trump collapses and he wants a negotiative partner, or he wants someone to suddenly tell him, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? Or the Israel Prime Minister suddenly turns up and says, am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing? And the button is just about to be pressed. The bugles are just going away. And all of a sudden, one of them just gets this doubt. Thank God for us. But one of them just gets this doubt, which is the dharmic side. Is either of them a dharmic side? If one of them gets this doubt, who do they have the closest around them? On whose capacity they should be able to examine their own thinking. His thinking was confused. It was Arjuna's whose thinking was confused, and the matter ends there. His emotions had confused his thinking, end of matter. Now, how is that going to be sorted? How is that going to be sorted at the time when he needs to act? He needs to do something. He needs to take a decision. To take a decision, he must be very sure of what he is going to do and what his action is going to bring forward for him. Under these circumstances, it was only his own Sarthi. That was the only talking capacity around him. His horses won't talk to him. His Gandiva won't talk to him. Bhishma was standing opposite army. His teacher was standing in the opposite army. His brother was standing far away with another Rakshani. He had nobody around him. And at that time, what I want to highlight is the strength of a conversation. It is the strength of the conversation that is called Bhagavad Gita. And in this conversation, the way Krishna talks to Arjuna throughout the 18 chapters, he starts not by telling him you're wrong. Is Krishna not sure in the very beginning that he is lost it? When you have a friend who is talking all, suddenly someone close one of yours has lost someone, you know how delirious they get sometimes? At that delirious moment, you don't tell the person you're delirious. You don't start off by that. You wait patiently till the person, all your skills are brought forward till the person calms down a bit, and then you begin to reason with the person. Krishna did similar things. And by the time he comes to be telling him what he should be doing, which he did tell him in the 2nd chapter, that your duty, your right thing to do is to fight this war. But the wrong thing in that fighting of the war would be the motive behind it. If your motive is wrong, then even a right action goes wrong. And if your motive is right, then even a seemingly wrong action is right. You have to examine the motive. But natural, next question, How do I know my motive? How do I examine my motive? Because all of us all the time think our motives are always right. None of us has a doubt with our motives. हमारा तो यही सोच था ना उस वक्त का. That सोच was in its place correct. How do I know which motive is right and how do I know which motive is wrong? How do I call myself as this thinking of mine is right or this thinking of mine needs correction? How do I do that self-examination on the basis of examining a motive? To that Krishna said, you examine your motive in the light of whom is the action dedicated to. किस purpose के लिए है? What is the end of that action? If the end that is of that action is you yourself, your gain, your fayda, based only on what you want, what you like, what you don't like, how you want it to be, how I see it, how I wish, how I is the center of your action. That motive is relatively lower than a better motive, which is when your action is preceded by the motive of what is good for other, what is right in the circumstances for everyone, what is it that will least harm others. If your motive expands to cover more beings in it, from yourself to your family, to your own community, to your own country, state, country, etc. As expansive your motive gets, so much more righter it gets. Now when you say such a thing, then but natural there is still relativity. Because someone's right motive can be from another perspective wrong. But what is that which will clinch it as saying the relativity factor will dissolve? The clinching factor of it is, have you dedicated it to Ishvara? Ishvara is that ruling party. Ruling party, I mean, is that governor. Isha, he is the Lord, he is the master. The one who creates. Whatever be my understanding of it, whatever be my knowledge of Ishvara, whatever name I call him with, I call her with. Doesn't matter. Ishvara having, in my vision, whatever be my cognition of Ishvara. That it should be all comprehensive is the bottom line. In my knowledge of Ishvara, that Ishvara must represent the creator. That Ishvara must be the father, the mother of the whole creation. That Ishvara must be the sthan from where this has emerged. That Ishvara, when it is in my cognition, in my motive, and then I perform the action, Krishna said, that is the purest action. Because here, the focus on your own self is least there, is most diminished. You are least important. What has grown in proportion is, has this Ishvara become essential fact? Has it become recognizable to you? This process of performing the action with clearing up of one's motive, just the motive, just the intention, takes a lot of time. This, in every action, when we begin to analyze and see our motives, we would realize to start off with, in a whole lifetime also, we would scarcely have some actions which were actually pure. I'm using the word pure because when you have total Ishvara dedication with least attention on yourself and done only for the sake of it, I'm calling that as a pure action. Where your own likes and dislikes are also sometimes sacrificed. Your own wants are sacrificed. You are sacrificing it in the realm of something which is to be done. You are sacrificing it in the realm of what is it that the Creator in His creation would bring peace to His creation, or would bring harmony to His creation, or would enrich His creation. What am I to contribute in His creation that would add, in the quote-unquote sense, it would add something to His glory rather than my action which removes the glory from creation. If this vague, this is a broad line of the idea. In this vague broad line, if you can capture the spirit of it, when a person gets more and more Ishwar centered, and Ishwar centered, please, I'm repeating myself because there are many people who would be listening who are not necessarily followers of Bhagwan in any way. Ishwar centric does not mean in any way a religion. Ishwar centric is actually the only wise way of arriving at some sort of a conclusion, to clear your motive, to recognize a fact, just a fact. It doesn't matter what name you call it, but a fact is that I am not the creator of this creation as who I am now. मेरे से नहीं बना ये जगत, मैंने नहीं बनाया. मैं अपना शरीर भी नहीं कंट्रोल कर सकती, मैं अपना शरीर ही नहीं हैंड. I can't imagine how from a single cell I multiplied to becoming two, then I multiplied to becoming multiple cells, then I became organs, then I kind of had, and then I was pushed out into the world. A world where suddenly my senses are perceiving duality, plurality. I am overwhelmed by, but in Sabne, where was I? What was my role in the whole process? When there was nothing in my process, in my processing, I did nothing in the process. That is a fact. Recognizing this fact all the time, to be able to come to an appreciation that I, as who I see myself, is not the prime factor around in the creation. As I see myself now, as an individual who's self-centered, and that self-centering of myself is what prompts my action today. Point here Krishna gave to Arjuna was, if this self-centeredness is the motive of your action, then you do or you don't do the action. Either way, hear this well, either way, you're going to be bound by the fruit of it. If your self-centeredness is the motive of your action, either way, whether you do the action, means fight the war, or you run away, you don't fight the war. Either way, both these decisions of yours are going to bind you with results. करने का एक नतीजा आएगा, ना करने का एक और नतीजा अलग आएगा. लेकिन दोनों का फल तू ही भोगेगा ओ अर्जुन. करके भी जो आएगा उसका भी फल तू ही भोगेगा, ना करने से भी फल जो आएगा वो भी तू ही भोगेगा. Either way, you are caught up by the result of your own action. I'm repeating it. If the focus is self-centered, if the focus is you yourself in your action, my point of view, then either of your choices you execute, whatever is there in front of you. In any of those choices, you will be caught up by the result. You will have to undergo the result. You will have to face the result. You will have to experience the result. Because the bottom line is, you are the one who is now focusing on yourself. Focusing on yourself when an action is prompted from that egoistic notion of I am limited, जिसको हम अपने भाषा में कर्ता भाव कहते हैं. When your conclusion of yourself is the karta of an action, that karta of an action, I am defining it to say, when your action is centered on yourself. Action centered on yourself, I'm calling it as a karta bhav. If you have a predominant karta bhav with which you have prompted an action, but natural, the action by its nature is a boomerang. A boomerang means निकला भी यहीं पे, वापस भी यहीं आता है, बस थोड़ा इधर उधर घूम के निकल के ऐसे लगता है कि you, by the time you have lost cognition of what you did, By then वो रहता है पता नहीं कहाँ पे घूम रहा है, boomerang हो रहा है, लेकिन finally by the time we've just about forgotten I did such an action, it comes and hits you. And you don't realize, what did I do to deserve it? Because heart to heart, all our motives, all our intentions, there's nobody more purer than I am. In all my intention, I am the nicest person on planet. In all my intention, inside my own cognition, मेरे जैसा अच्छा इंसान ही कोई नहीं है, तो मेरे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Why me? Why does it turn back at me? Because who was the karta? The karta. See, this is a very, it has a nuance in it. It's a very subtle thing. If your perception can get into it, you would derive great wisdom from this, and it's a life changer. The subtle nuances, karta bhav, किसे कहते हैं? Just a mere doer of action? If you just say, then we all are doers all the time. Then just doing an action is not called a karta bhav. It is your focus, your motive in the action which qualifies you to be a karta. That motive, when it is centered on your fulfillment, on your tripti, when it is centered on your own fact of saying, I want something specific to myself, my fulfillment of my ichha, my wishes, mera tarika, etc. When this is the focus and I prompt an action, I do. And we all know what was Duryodhana on the opposite side. He represents that mind. What is that Duryodhana's mind? He tells you he shows you very clearly that Duryodhana was a person who could only think of himself. And when he thinks, a person who thinks only of their own self, how manipulative can they get? How justifying they appear. How their own mind projects things. How they present things. That at the end of it, it will almost appear that Duryodhana was always right. And worse than that, Dhritarashtra was right. After all, the whole battle started because of Dhritarashtra. Who could be more? Uske saath galat hua. If he was in our present times, definitely in our present time of democracy, Dhritarashtra had the greatest game. He had a voice there. In that time, rules were set. A king had to have certain qualification. He was disqualified by his sheer physical body. That was to be followed. And the society enabled that law to function. Because of which, Dhritarashtra held the grudge all his life. Now, Dhritarashtra holding the grudge, he was not able to see how would Mahabharata have been avoided? What should have been the change of Dhritarashtra's motive? When Dhritarashtra was centering the entire thing on his own self-pity, self-valuing, etc., etc., what should have been the change of Dhritarashtra that could have avoided the whole scenario? They would have they would have had one of the most beautiful existential life, because Dharmraj himself was living with them. They had the best of people, characters at that time in a family, and they couldn't enjoy a family life. Why? Because Dhritarashtra, in his perception, was, I am wronged by my own brother, by my own state, by my own people. I am wronged by them. Now, change of motive would have been what? For whatever reason. This is what has come to me. My destiny brings it to me. My prarabdha brings it to me. Ishwar Prasad. I can't change the fact that I cannot see. This cannot be changed in this lifetime. So as long as this is it, I have to abide by some rule. If I only accept things as they are, if only I accept that I am not going to be able to be reigning this lifetime at least, and he goes onto a second seat and becomes a contributor to whatever his capacities were, our whole learning would have gone. Krishna would have had no context to teach Arjuna. And we would be lost as individual souls, stuck only to Upanishad Gyan, which we were not qualified to receive. So therefore, anugrah falls for us. Dhritarashtra did not have that. That Dhritarashtra did not have brought about Mahabharata. If you can translate it into your own minds, that our change of attitude and motive can change the entire course of life ahead, not one generation. It can change history. It can change what is to come. It can change to such an extent that what is never there can never be there. In other words, if I can change my attitude and motive, I may be avoiding certain unpleasant things that would manifest. And that wisdom is what I must always seek and have. The wisdom of what is my motive and what can be its future consequences. If I can foresee that change of my motive can actually avoid certain consequences or can nourish some other consequences, action will have to have a result, and action will be of the nature of a boomerang. You cannot defy this law. If I have generated an action, there will be a time when I will become the experiencer of that action. My only choice is in this moment. In this moment, when I am performing an action, do I have a clear motive? Do I have a clean motive? Do I have a pure motive? And a pure motive means what? Less self-focused. And which is the purest motive? When Ishvara, the creator, call him by any name, I'm repeating myself. Every time I use the word Ishvara, I will repeat myself. You call him Buddha, you call him Allah, you call him Christ, you call him Rama, you call him Shiva, you call him Devi, you call him, you call her, you call between two. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, because whatever is Ishvara. You have your personal association with that Ishvara in whichever name and form. It's almost like saying when you have a grandchild, how does Dada Dadi call the grandchild and Nana Nani call that grandchild? Isn't there a difference? I think there is a difference. I perceive Nana Nani have a different way of addressing their grandchild, especially if it is daughter's child. Because वो Dada Dadi हो गए ना with son's child. So son's child is a different calling and daughter's child is a different calling. Now the same child you are calling differently, no? तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है अगर तुमने भगवान को इस नाम से बुला लिया या उस नाम से बुला लिया है? तुम किसी भी नाम से ना बुलाओ, उसको शत्रु के नाम से बुलाओ. Like Ravan did. Ravan said, "You are my Shatru." It didn't matter because what he established in his mind was Ishvara Buddhi. This Ishvara Buddhi, if you have, it will clean up every aspect of your चित्तम. इस चित्त में जितना भी हमने कचरा भरा है ना अपना राग द्वेष को लेके, अहंकार को लेके, this is filled today. That is why it becomes difficult to act neutrally, because the chitt is full of personal likes and dislikes, personal egoistic visions, etc. Ishvara Buddhi cleans it. It's a vacuum. नुक नुक पे जाके साफ कर देता है पूरा self दृष्टि को. It sucks it away. Why? Because the one who exists alone exists anyway. Who am I? Ultimately, who am I as an individual? Am I even there as an individual? When you come more deeper into Vedanta, you realize how silly have I been talking about मैं when I don't even know what मैं is. And at that point, my famous example, that point you realize a bakri मैं and me मैं is really no difference at all. वो भी मैं कर रही है, मैं भी मैं कर रही हूँ. When मैं का उसको भी कोई बोध नहीं है, मैं का मुझे भी कोई बोध नहीं है. I have no cognition of who this मैं is, who is such a center of my whole existence at the moment, कि मेरे हिसाब से पता नहीं जिंदगी क्यों नहीं चलती है और मुझे भगवान वो देता क्यों नहीं है जो मुझे चाहिए. ऐसा भी मैंने क्या कर दिया? You can be a script writer. ऐसा भी मैंने क्या कर दिया कि मुझे भगवान वो नहीं दे रहा which I really think I worked for and I deserved. Now this change of motive, arpana buddhi, prasad buddhi. What is to be picked up here, I'm just summarizing it. Karma always binds. How does it bind? Because it gives phal. If the karma gives phal and it binds, then how does one free oneself? Not by giving up karma, not by doing some other specific karma. One frees oneself only by change of attitude, motive. When this motive is changed, but natural, you are freeing yourself from either acquiring a good result or a bad result. Punya, पाप. इन दोनों में नहीं उलझना. ऐसा कैसा कर्म हो सकता है? This needs a little advanced capacity to think. I'm only saying it for the sake of saying. It's not an ordinary investigation. It requires a certain depth of thinking to be able to say, how should I correct my motive? It's a correction inside. However much you may know about it, your correction may be not there. Clarity of intellect will have to follow with the cleaning of the motive. How am I supposed to clean it in such a way that it goes and strikes that point where I am neither accruing punya nor papa, but my action is still flowing? I'll repeat this because this is the fulcrum of the verse. How am I to clear my motive in such a way that I'll neither accrue punya nor pap. I don't accrue any fruit, yet my action continues. What is that technique? What is that skill that a human being can execute? And if he executes that skill, he gains freedom. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, I am telling you that technique. And with this technique, many people in the past have sought their freedom and got it. And this technique is what I have unfolded to you now. Before you embark upon this war, before you take it on, make sure that you have corrected your intention. And in that light, he had said in the 14th verse starting, chapter 4, where he says, karmas don't bind me. And that me meant him, the Ishwar principle. Now see this in this light of today's class. Ishwara principle is represented by Krishna in this. Even before he said this, but I am picking up from 14th verse. Namam karmani limpanti. Karmas do not taint me. मतलब लेपते नहीं है मेरे को. Means they don't bind me. They do not affect me. Name karma phale spriha. And I don't have any yearning for any result. Who's saying this? Ishvara as its nature. When Ishvara as its nature says, actions do not taint me and results do not, I have no yearning for the results. Iti mam yaha abhijanati. Anyone who knows me like this, knows me is, knows Ishvara like this. Karma bhihi na sahabadhyate. That person also, the karmas will not bind such a person. The basic is just 2 points. What? Karmas don't bind you when karma phal is not your spriha. And if you know Ishvara to be like that, and you dedicate your action to such an Ishvara, इसमें 2 स्टेप हैं. पहला कि तुम्हारी ईश्वर बुद्धि निष्ठ हो जानी चाहिए ऑफ दिस नेचर, और उस ईश्वर बुद्धि निष्ठ बुद्धि को You offer your action. Means you prompt the motive to that action. The prompting of the motive itself is that knowledge of Ishvara. And then he says, Evam gyatva kritam karma. In this manner, many kritam karma, many have done karmas that are to be done. Purvaihi api mumukshubhihi, by the mumukshus of the past. He is telling Arjuna in that yuga. When was Mahabharata there? In Dwapar Yuga. है ना? Dwapar Yuga में महाभारत हुई थी. Krishna is telling Arjuna in Dwapar Yuga, which was God knows how many yugas before here now. That time he is saying many people before, mumukshus before have done the same thing. Eternal principle indicated. And then he says, Kuru karmaiva tasmat tvam. Therefore, O Kuru, tasmat, therefore he concludes the topic there. Therefore, O Kuru, karma eva, you also do the karma. Purvaihi, purvataram kritam, as those, your purvaj, mumukshu purvaj, as they did their actions, you also be inspired by the same. And you also perform your actions in that spirit. And when you perform your action in that spirit, your action will not bind you. Means this war is incidental. This war is not you who is doing it. This war is not initiated by you. This war is an outcome of a Mahat principle. You are only a nimitta in it. You can get caught up in this by accruing dharma adharma. If you want to keep yourself free from dharma and adharma in this definite destructive war, invariably most would have accrued adharma. But if such a thin line that the only way to protect yourself or only way to grow yourself is to act in a spirit which your purvaj did, and to gain further clarity on that, what is that cleaning of the motive? How? He says, Krishna starts the topic again in a way. He says, Kim karma, kim akarma iti. Most of the people don't understand Ishvara as akarma. Why? Because we want Ishvara to give us something, no? अगर वो अकर्मा है तो देगा कैसे मुझे कुछ? वो कुछ करेगा तो मुझे देगा ना? How can he be akarma and he can still be giving? Have you ever reasoned you're asking Bhagwan? If you ask something from Bhagwan and you say, oh God, give me a job. How can Bhagwan give you a job unless until he becomes a karta? But if you say Bhagwan is a karta and he does no karma, then he can't give you a job. So if you can't give you a job, तो वो कैसा भगवान है that he can't give me a job? This is how absurd we are actually. We have no cognition of our Ishvara at all. हम मांगते भी हैं और फिर उसको कहते तू अकर्म भी है. वो बेचारा जैसे ही तुम मांगते हो देने लगता है सोच के चलो in my compassion, उतने में तुम कहते हो you are अकर्म, you are अकर्ता. So Bhagwan again withdraws because now he can't do. He is an akarta. Now you've glorified him even higher. That's his nature. He says, Kim karma, kim akarma iti. Most people do not understand, have clarity of what is called karma and what is called akaram. What should be the nature of akaram? Non-action. What can qualify as non-action? Be very diligent. 2 years break will be justified if you can be diligent. What is akarma? Akarma is non-action. What is called non-action? If my not doing an action is called non-action, if that is so, then it was very easy for everyone. Gita was not required, Shastra was not required because we are very good at it. Natural है, स्वाभाविक है. कुछ ना करना is very natural to us. तो हमें क्यों कोई शास्त्र चाहिए या विद्या चाहिए to tell us what is right and wrong? Why would Arjuna be asking, what am I to do? Akaram, an action which gets qualified as non-action. What is that method of performance of an action which will get qualified as non-action. Kiya hi nahi. This is very, very contradictory to sound also to people who have no initiation in this. किया हुआ कर्म ऐसा स्वभाव बदलेगा कि वो किया ही नहीं हो जाएगा. If you can get through the flow of it. Action is done, but in due course, it disappears. It dissolves away. It has no existence. Which action is called as action, which has no existence? How can an action convert into non-existent action? That, he says, many wise people also get confused on this topic. नहीं क्लैरिटी लोगों को किसे कहते हैं कर्म, किसे कहते हैं अकर्म और किसे कहते हैं विपरीत कर्म. 17th verse. कर्मणा हि अपि बोधव्यम बोधव्यम च विकर्मणः. He is just repeating बोधव्यम for the sake of repetition of each phrase. तीनों को जानना जरूरी है, is what the emphasis is. कर्म किसे कहते हैं जानना जरूरी है, विकर्म किसे कहते हैं वो जानना जरूरी है, एंड अकर्म किसे कहते हैं वो भी जानना जरूरी है. एंड देन ही एड्स द 4th quarter, गहना कर्मणा गति ही. ये जो गति है ना कर्म की, बूमरैंग है, बहुत गहरी है, वेरी डीप, वेरी इंट्रिकेट. It is what would be the more contemporary example in the modern world would be it's intricately established, means आप आसानी से उसकी लिंक नहीं पकड़ सकते. It is so deeply, the causation is so deeply set that you will not be able to hold it at a superficial level. You will not be able to pinpoint इस कर्म का ये फल था, because karma is so intricate कि वो किस रास्ते से चल के आपके पास आ रहा है बूमरैंग, that you can't determine. In other words, now you have, if you have to go to Govardhan, there will be 2-3 ways to go, I presume. We always go by the highway, so we don't know, you see. But there must be 2-3 ways. Any place will have 2-3 ways to go. You have said with your friends, we will meet you at Govardhan. अब कौन किस रास्ते से आ रहा है, you cannot know. You will only meet them at Govardhan. Each one has chosen their method, their way, their vehicle. There are so many differences. Now, how is this boomerang going to come back to you? You cannot predetermine. अपने कर्म का फल अपने पे कैसे बूमरैंग होगा, and I'm boomerang using the word in both ways, good and bad, because from moksha drishti both are boomerang. How it has traveled, तुम्हारे किस कर्म से किस कौन सा राग द्वेष कब था, कौन सा अहंकार कब था, तुम्हारा कौन सा सबके थ्रू पास होता होता, कभी अच्छा किया तो उतना कम हुआ, फिर कुछ और किया तो उतना, पता नहीं, गहना. That's why there's no way of determining it. You cannot determine the course of your action and its result. I mean, the result that the action will take. You cannot determine the course of the result your action will take. That is how gahana. And yet, you can plan the action. You have to be the executor of the action. By the knowledge of these three. What is karma? What is vikarma? Because what is karma you will do. What is vikarma you will avoid. And what is akarma? If you know that and you do, you free yourself. While you are doing the action. I'll repeat. If you know what is karma, then you know what is to be done. If you know what is vikarma, then you know what is not to be done. Because vikarma means viparita karam, which means viparita phal. I don't want viparita phal, means I don't want a stressful life, I don't want an agitated life, I don't want, if I don't want it, then I shouldn't do certain things also. Because boomerang. So viparita karam, if I know, then I will avoid things that will bring viparita phal. And if I know akaram, then I can do my action in such a manner that I get freed of the result completely. And this akaram is the topic only of jnana drishti. It doesn't fall in the realm of karma. Because this akaram, as he's going to talk further, in the 18th verse he says, karmani akarma yah pashyed. As we said, this is the verse which is extremely it unfolds everything. Karmani akarma yah pashyed. The one who sees in action, कर्मों में अकर्म को देखता है और अकर्म में कर्म को देखता है, वही बुद्धिमान मनुष्य है. Means that akaram which falls in the realm of jnana, he sees akaram and he does karma. What is akaram? The nature of Atma. Atma alone has the nature of akaram, akarta. वो मनुष्य बुद्धिमान है. The one who can see Atma as himself, which always is akarta. And then he goes and does karma that is to be done. And obviously doesn't do vikarma, मतलब वो तो उस पे apply भी नहीं होगा, but for its own sake, he doesn't do vikarma and he does karma. Then he went on to say the lakshanas of such a jnani. ऐसा कौन है, कैसा है वो जो ये कर सकता है? Like in the second chapter Sthita Prajna portion, who is such a person who can have the vision of Atma akarta, remaining a karma, still performs karma? Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha. The one who takes on to all actions, initiates, but without any kamana, without any sankalpa. जो कर्म करता है but without sankalpa. He just does a karma. He doesn't take that initial vratam. May this action go into this, as all the karmas are meant to be. He does no sankalpa. He knows what is to be done by his own, in those days, varna ashrama, but in these days, by your roles of life. He knows what this role of life asks me to do, and that is what he abides by. And in the knowledge of himself being Atma, Aham Brahma Asmi. Atma is akarta. Atma is akarma. I am that Atma. I am akarma. I execute nothing. I am not a doer of action. I do nothing. Not in the sense, see, when I say I do nothing, I'm sensitive about how I phrase it, because I do nothing, instantly my perception of I, if it is this jiva, then you better do something. The point is, it's such a delicate, thin perceptional change. If in my vision of I do nothing, your vision of I is you, the body, the person, the individual, then you are in Arjuna's state of akarma. I do nothing, I represents Atma. आपके विजन में आत्मा विद्या पहले है कि नहीं है? और अगर आत्मा विद्या आपकी नहीं है तो आप ये कर नहीं सकोगे, क्योंकि आत्मा विद्या है. दैट विद्या की ग्लोरी इज दिस. दैट विद्या इज व्हाट ही कनेक्ट्स विद. ही रिकॉग्नाइजेस हिमसेल्फ एज आत्मा एंड देन ही सेज he performs the actions as per whatever the requirement is. And such a person, the wise are calling Pandit, means he is a knower. And knowing which, then 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd were all lakshanas which you can take aram se. We will not go back again and again. These are lakshanas of such a person. In fact, they are beautiful corrections. Nirashihi, etc. All these are how we attach ourselves to action and how the one who knows himself as Atma is not attached to action. That difference was between 20th and 23rd verse. He repeats those lakshanas which were given in Sthita Prajna portion also. There in the context of knowledge, here in the context of karma. And now 24th verse, which we have already started, he is concluding the same portion from one drishti. And the drishti is that this jnani, how does the karma become akarma for him? This is absolutely unique feature of the entire Shastra. Any Shastra in the world will not give you this uniqueness that this Bhagavad Gita gives you. How does a karma become a karma? और जो जानना चाहता है ना उसके लिए this really is like oasis in a desert. It's water when you are thirsty. It's food when you are hungry. Because if you really seek freedom from samsara, then your starting point is only the realm of action. तुम्हारा शरीर है, तुम्हारा मन है, यही है तुम्हारे पास as your equipment. आप इन कर्मों को कैसे जनरेट करो कि ना इसमें पुण्य आए ना इसमें पाप आए. That is the 24th verse. How does such a jnani act even while he is doing the action? And now it may make sense in the light of today's class. Brahma arpanam. So when the metaphor here is of a yajna, ritual, physical ritual. Because Arjuna was a grahasth. Everyone was supposed to do, grahasthas were supposed to do certain karmas, Vedic karmas, as a part of their karma. In fact, truly speaking, the word karma only meant Vedika Nitya karma. Karma never meant action. Because when we take it as action, then there is a huge confusion in our minds. Ki everything is an action, brushing my teeth is an action. Now what is there to qualify it as Nitya karma? Nishiddha karma kya hoga? Fir not brush the teeth? That would be Nishiddha. What would be? Do not brush your teeth. Would be Nishiddha karma. That's not the point. Karma means only Vedika karma jo tumhe karna hi tha. And there were a lot of associated disciplines with it. This karma to be done, when the ritual was performed, this jnani means wo apne aap ko discern kar chuka hai. This apparently externally seeming individual, still in a family life, still associated with children and potas and dotas and everybody, still being seen as a householder who has continued his actions in the past. Agnihotra Adi Karma. Such a person is now still continuing his actions, though he doesn't need to do them. Because he has already known who is. Yet the Gita has said, do not give up action. So he continues to do his action. His dharma tells him to continue till Ajivam. For the sake now of people around and your family, etc. Set an example. For that sake, the ladle, the spoon, the instrument, the karanam with which he offers, he sees that as Brahman. Now I'll stop there to elaborate on it. This karanam, the ladle, in a yajna it's an instrument, wooden spoon of a certain length and used to pour ghee into the havan. This karana buddhi, when action has a karana buddhi, means my action has the thought that this is my means to get something. A yajna was done. That yajna could be sakama yajna, nishkama yajna. But when it is done sakam, means unless I pour my ghee into that fire, to that deity with those mantras, when the priest is there, and then I completed the entire procedure, and then I do my namaskar and etc. dakshina, till the whole thing is done, my karma, my oblation does not reach that God. So for me, that oblation process is a means to get what I want. Clear? In the entire Havana, my first buddhi is, I want something. When I want something, I decide what I want to do for it. That Agnihotra Adi karma were to be done daily. But what changes the result is that I can do it for my desire fulfillment, sakama drishti. And when I am doing it for sakama drishti, I see that the initiation of the action also, just as I pour that ghee with the help of that ladle, if I don't have the ladle, I can't do that action. So what does ladle hold for me? Means. It's a buddhi. It's a recognition that these are my means to what I want to get. Knowing fully well that ladle has no connection with that devta. ये तो नहीं है कि इससे मुझे मिल रहा है कुछ, लेकिन इसके बिना नहीं मिलेगा. So that means buddhi is what you have to notice. Later on, when you get clearer in Vedanta as a total Vedanta Shastra and not just a Smriti Grantha, this is called Karya Karana Buddhi. What are the means for what effects do I want? Phal I want. That buddhi is so intricate to us. Ki what am I doing for what I want? And we don't know any other way to operate. So that ladle that I am using, this ladle is seen to be Brahman, which means his Karya Karana Buddhi is dead, is gone. He doesn't see this ladle as a means. He sees it as non-separate from Brahman. He sees himself as non-separate from Brahman. Being non-separate from Brahman, he sees the means as non-separate from Brahman. If that is non-separate, then what about the ahuti that he puts in? Because without ahuti, he cannot get that. Ahuti also, he sees it as Brahman. So if ahuti is seen as Brahman, then what about the whole karma that he is doing? This karma is also Brahman. Brahman only subsists it. Brahman is the adhishthan. Brahman himself is, it is Brahman. Where am I the karta? Where is wooden ladle, the separate means? Where is ahuti, the separate thing? Where is this whole action of mantras chanting and the priest there, and where is all this? Okay, if that is so, then what is the phal that you will get of such a buddhi where karya karana buddhi is destroyed? What is the phal you will get of it? Brahma eva gantavyam. You go to Brahman only. The phal is Brahman only. Means the whole aspect of karma, which is only recognized because of its division, because of its capacity to hold plurality. Karma is recognized and given validity because of its divisive nature. Karta, karam, phala, karana. All the karakas that we talk of in Sanskrit, they come into function the minute there is a karma involved. But when in the buddhi, the correction has happened, the knowledge has seeped in, has percolated. What you heard through Vedanta, Brahman is your nature, it has percolated into your subtle body and has pervaded the subtle body and has unfolded its meaning, and it has brought the recognition of yourself as Atma such a person, externally seeming to do actions, accruing no result at all, that karma is called akarma, which has no result. No result because there is no bhokta. No bhokta because he wanted nothing. There's nothing separate from him that he can get or you can remove. तो कर्म की वैलिडिटी ही नहीं है, फिर भी करता हुआ दिखता तो है. कर्म आभास है, करता हुआ दिख रहा है, आभास है. आभास is that seemingly he is doing action. For those who are identifying the body as a limited entity, he still has a prarabdha, he still has a name, he still has a form. As long as life is still there, he continues to go about doing his duties. But to his own self, he has freed from the karma realm. And karma is the only seed for samsara. If one can understand this, there is something that liberates you relatively also. हमारे संसार का बीज क्या है? सिर्फ कर्म है. और ये बात नहीं समझ में आती लोगों को. We are busy defying the law of karma. We are busy saying Vedas are redundant. We are busy trying to say we are liberals. We are busy saying we are a secular nation. We are very busy in rejecting the very knowledge that gives you existence. Knowledge is knowledge, and it cannot be limited to a caste or a creed or a nation. It is knowledge. Human being, just because the division of the species was not originated in India, have we not adopted it? Animal kingdom, plant kingdom, mineral kingdom. I think in our 6th standard we were taught all this. You divide the matter into this kingdom and that kingdom and that kingdom and that kingdom, and then you were like, Acha, we belong to human kingdom. And then there is animal kingdom, there is plant. First time when you had read this, did you question who originated this division? From where did it come? किसने बनाया ये division? हमारी country में तो नहीं बना, और अगर नहीं बना तो I will not accept it. It is common sense, so you accept it. What is the harm in it? It is knowledge. Knowledge is not restricted to A, B, C or D. What is Vedas? It is a knowledge, and the knowledge which destroys for good the capacity to generate a conflicting, stressed out, burnt out, exhausted, frustrated, suppressed, dejected. How much more can I add? Life hopeless, futile. That definition to your own life when you give, you really think creation would not have offered solution for all this? Creation would have left individuals to feel such a thing? As they keep growing older, life is more meaningless than meaningful. That relief in creation, that answer in creation, that answer that has come along with creation, which is to say that this sansari feeling, this exhaustive and tired out and burnt out and etc. feeling has a solution. And that solution is knowledge based. It is neither dogma nor fanaticism. It is plain, pure knowledge. All samsara is born from karma. Karma needs karta. That karta is a wrong apprehension of your own self. You are fundamentally a karta. Spend your life figuring it out. The more you figure it, the more you come closer to it, the more you are on the road to freedom. Without knowing it, forget spending the life. Do you even see a light in that tunnel? How do you come out of samsara then? Because I do karma or I don't do karma. I only have two choices. And both bind me. Both have consequences all the time. What I was supposed to have done, I did not do. What I was not to have done, I did. Then not only this, what I was to do, I overdid. What I was not to do, नहीं, underdid तो बहुत अच्छी बात हो जाएगी. What I was not to do also I did and then overdid. What I was to do, I underdid. So what I was to do, I overdid, underdid. What I was not to do, I overdid. And I did. Forget overdid, I did. Itself is a problem. Now, either way, this side or that side, as this limited individual sense that I have, I seem to have no third choice. And this you have to project and see the grace of Ishvara. This is unbelievable blessing in life. To even come across a third option का knowledge, पहले तो जानना, फिर इसमें निष्ठा पकड़ना. मतलब मेरी समझ इतनी साफ हो जानी चाहिए कि my mind, as I just said, it should percolate with that knowledge. And when it percolates with that knowledge, it should become the springboard of my next set of action. Means I should have had the capacity to correct my action in that light. Clear my intention, clear my motive. इसके लिए कितनी निष्ठा, पहले ईश्वर की निष्ठा, कर्म की निष्ठा. You have the whole thing flowing together. And when this sets, like curd setting, जब बैठ जाता है, वेदांत का शुरू का श्रवण कैसे होता है? That milk में थोड़ा सा जामुन डालना, and then you whisk it for the froth to come. You don't whisk it. You whisk it. Some people whisk it. So then they get a froth on it. So it looks like a very creamy curd. Whisk it. And when you're whisking it, I identify with the milk. And what is that little jamun inside? That is that little thing, Vedanta Shravanam. गुस्सा अंदर और उसने जो अंदर हलबल मचाई, सारा अंदर से हिला दिया. पूरा जो पहले सोचते थे अब वैसा सोच नहीं सकते हैं, नई सोच समझ में नहीं आ रही है, जो पहले करते थे वो अब और कंफ्यूजिंग हो गया है, नया कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. द होल थिंग इज गोइंग वुजू. पूरा टेरेबली मेड अ हॉचपॉच इनसाइड. अच्छा खासा वी वर सेटल्ड पीपल, वी वर सो सेटल्ड, वी वर लुकिंग whatever way. ठीक है, थोड़ा रो धो देते थे दुनिया में, कोई बात नहीं, इट वाज ओके. थोड़ा कंप्लेन कर लेते थे, गुस्सा आ जाता था, बोल देते थे. बट जिंदगी सबकी ऐसी तो है, कौन सी नई चीज होने वाली थी यहाँ पे. बट हमारी जिंदगी बीत रही थी. अब आपने पता नहीं क्या सुना दिया. ना हम वहां के रहे हैं, ना हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. पता नहीं क्या खुचू खुचू हो गया है अंदर पूरा दिमाग में. एंड देन व्हाट डज वेदांता टेल अस? रिलैक्स. अभी तो खुचू खुचू हुआ है. गिव इट टाइम टू सेट. Give it time to set. And when it sets, and for that setting is that adhyanam that you have to be at it. If the adhyanam is gone, means if your inquiring is gone, then this heard word is just left. Kuchu puchu. That's it. That jamun was not enough. That must be so much, and then you leave it for some time. Means let the thoughts now work, unfold their meaning. You pay attention to that. If you don't pay attention to what you have heard, then there is no unfoldment happening. Just pay attention to them and see how slowly as it percolates in your subtle body, how those corrective thinking pattern begins. And that corrective thinking pattern, when it comes to this verse, recognition, has in my buddhi that unified vision happened? If that buddhi doesn't have the unified vision, I am not free of samsara. If I am not free of samsara, at least let me have the grace in Ishwar creation to accept samsara. That I am a samsari at the moment, it's not my nature. Vedanta has given me that much relief. But let me, if I just accept कि मैं रुक के I will be the what crying baby. रुक के I will get spasms of bursts of hi me, why me, etc. It's acceptable because my vision is not unified. The minute I say this, I make that correction that the problem is not outside. My own recognition of my own self is the cause of my own karma. And that karma has to have the nature, run through its course. And it only exhausts when I become the bhokta of it. Till I have become the bhokta of it, the karma is not exhausted. It is in potential. Anything I do is in potential. They keep manifesting. And every time they manifest, they are exhausting. But unfortunately for us, or fortunately for those who have it, if I don't have the prasada buddhi, then I only trigger it further. I sow another seed. Non-acceptance, sow another seed, etc., etc. So, Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi, Brahma Agni, Brahmana Hutam. All of this is Brahman. Brahma Ev Tena Gantavyam. He goes to Brahman. Brahma Karma Samadhina, the one who is established in the knowledge of Brahman. Now, this is the nature of akarma. Very important. If you go back now and do those verses, we had that gap, but doesn't matter. If you've done it well enough before, you will remember where you left is where you take on from. 18th verse very clearly kept on talking about akarma, 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 akarma. That clarity you get here now when Krishna explains it clearly what is called akarma. And then there's something more coming, which again we'll do in the next class. And the beautiful point over here will be that Shankara is going to take up, which is only through the help of the Bhashyam that we understand that why should we not take this verse as upasana? Look upon it as Brahman. Look upon the ladle as Brahman. Look upon the fire as Brahman. And then do your action. And this is such a beautiful, intricate thought. The difference between upasana and jnana, that he clarifies here. Why this verse is jnana based and not upasana based. Though it can be looked upon as upasana, but the context is not upasana. Therefore, you will get no benefit if you do it as an upasana. Here what he says means you will get the benefit of the upasana, but the upasana is karma. The benefit here is only to see it from a drishti of jnanam, paripakva jnana. Brahman I am established in, और वो ब्रह्म ज्ञानी कर्म की दृष्टि क्या रखता है, which we will continue next week. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu, Sarvesham shantir bhavatu, Sarvesham purnam bhavatu, Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu, Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, Sarve santu niramayaha, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit